So a pōhiri is a formal welcome for a distinguished guest or visitor that occurs on the marae ātea, or on the marae, in front of the meeting house, tūpuna whare.
We like to call it a structural systems model rather than a supplemental add-on.
Yeah, it's good having the exposure, but it's not forced on you. It's kind of just integrated quite nicely.
We were redesigning the design degree and we had 6 majors. Most of those majors in the past had been quite separate from one another. They'd almost been like completely separate qualifications. They didn't have anything to do with each other. They didn't share papers. They didn't have any connection to one another in terms of student interaction. We tried to change that with the new degree, and that's just responding to the completely different creative industries that are now compared to what they were like, say, last century. They're much more fluid and they require people to be able to explore and move between. So in doing that, and in developing this curriculum that was a shared curriculum, we realised that we needed a framework of some sort to join them all together.
So the pōhiri as a concept was a way of thinking about how you locate yourself in a new space, and there are particular protocols within pōhiri, within a Māori context, for engaging with a place and with the people within that location. So it was a way of addressing students coming into Massey University in that first year in the position of manuhiri, and also being able to acknowledge tangata whenua, that was really an important part of locating them here.
The way that we'd had Māori perspectives incorporated into the degree in the past had been through a number of papers that were especially for that role. And so there was a paper called Cultural Identity Through Art and Design that we had, and that basically contained a really large amount of the Māori knowledge, I guess, that all students would do throughout the degree. That became problematic because that was there, they had to carry all of this stuff within that one small vehicle. And what happened was, it was at first year, students would do that paper and then often they'd leave it behind because it wasn't connected to any of the rest of the things that we did. We didn't refer back to it in the studio papers. There was no kind of reconnection with that later, apart from if students elected to do some particular Māori studio electives called toi ātea.
And that's one of the things that often happens in a mainstream context, is that you end up getting these papers that become siloed spaces for dealing with Indigenous knowledge or Indigenous contexts. So the framework was about trying to actually embed that as something that was fundamental to the structure of the way that the college operated, and that it would permeate in some degree, bearing in mind that it's still a mainstream institution, all papers that the college offered.